Hello, this is Mr. Stansbury. I'm going to take you through the 8F notes on completing the square. At the end of the notes here, you should be able to say that I can solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. Alright, this is actually a skill that comes in really handy in future math classes, especially pre-calculus and calculus. So, let's dive in. Okay, so example 37 from page 261 says solve for x by completing the square. So here's our equations, and we're going to solve these by completing the square. So let's go through and talk about the steps to completing the square. So over here we will have our steps, and then over here we'll actually do those steps to complete our square. So first thing you want to do is move the C term, which is, here's our A, here's our B, and here's our C. When we're talking about the quadratic equation, you want to move your constant to the right side. Move the C, I'll just put C, to the right side. Okay, and then everything else stays on the left. So to do that, we will add 2. Let's do this. Let's keep it all in the same color so it'll be easier to follow. So subtract 2 from both sides, and we get x squared plus 2x. Oh, no, we're not going to subtract 2, we're going to add 2. Sorry about that. Equals 2. Okay. The second step that we're going to do is we are going to take half of the B term. Okay, so take 1/2 the B term. Right, so the B term is 2, so we'll take that 2 and divide it by 2, and we get 1. Okay, our third step is to square the result. Okay, so we take the 1 and we square it, and we still get 1. Not terribly fascinating, but that's alright. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to add that result to both sides. Add the result to both sides of the equation. Okay, so here's what we had before, our x squared plus 2x equals 2. So we have x squared plus 2x, and then we're going to add the 1 from right here, equals 2, and then here's our other plus 1 from that. Alright, so these are the two new things we did. Let's see our fifth step. Let's see, step 5 is going to be to write the left side as a perfect square. Right, left side as a perfect square. Okay, so this here, this x squared plus 2x plus 1 can be written as a perfect square, and that's going to be the really easy way actually to do that. It's always going to be whatever half of the B term is, so this will always go right there. So since that's positive 1, we put plus 1 squared. Okay, and then over here on the right side we have 2 plus 1, which gives us 3. And then our last step on this adventure here is to solve for x. Okay, So with that, what we'd want to do first here is take the square root to get rid of that square right there. Oops. And then whatever we do to one side, we got to do to the other side. So this would leave us with x plus 1 equals plus or minus the square root of 3. So subtract 1 from both sides and we get x equals negative 1 plus or minus root 3. And that will be our solution, or as close as we can get to it. It's not very pretty, but that should work. You could also take the square root of 3, plug it in your calculator, and add that to add and subtract that from negative 1 and get to actual decimal answers. You can do that as well. All right, so that is completing the square. So let's do the same thing with example B, and then that's all there is for this section. All right, so I'm going to stick to the colors here so that we can coordinate those with the steps. So again, first thing, move the C to the right. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and that gives us x squared plus 4x equals 6. The second thing we're going to do is take half of the b term. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to square that. So take 2 squared and we get 4. And then we now add that result to both sides of the equation. So we have x squared plus 4x, and now we're going to add 4. And then we have equals 6 also plus 4. Okay. We're going to write the left side as a perfect square. And so that will be x of our perfect square. And again, that's always going to be whatever half the b term is. So that comes down here, and we get, there we go, plus 2. So if this half this b term happened to be negative, then this would be x minus 2. Okay. And that equals 6 plus 4, which is 10. And then our last step is just to solve this thing. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and we get x plus 2 over here. And that equals plus or minus the square root of 10, which won't simplify, so we just leave it. And then we subtract 2 from both sides, and we get x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 10. All right, so now you should be able to say that I can solve a quadratic equation by completing the square. All right, if you have any questions, please ask. Thanks.